Hey everybody, this is the 20-gallon tank I keep set up for my wife to enjoy. And last night I got in here and did a pretty good amount of work on it. I got it cleaned up quite a bit, but I didn't shoot any video of it last night because the tank was all swirly and dirty, and you know how it is after a water change. It takes a while for the tank to really clear up, and that wasn't until after lights went out, so I just figured we'd wait till today. So there's your first initial look at it. The key fish in this tank, of course, is this angelfish. I know everybody has not seen this one in a while. It looks fantastic. It's doing really well. I don't know if you remember or not, if you're a regular viewer. We were a little concerned when we first put it in here. I always seem to be cursed with this tank. Angelfish seem to live for about a month, and then they die. And it's always a shame. My wife really tries not to get attached to any new fish until it's been in here for a while. And this one, as you can see, has been in here for a while. It went in there about the size of a quarter, a little tiny thing from the PetSmart, and has filled in very nicely. And I'm happy to say it's not getting really big. I've got an angelfish downstairs that I originally had in a 29, and it got so big I had to eventually move it over to my 55. And everybody comments, even in a 55, it just looks like a huge angelfish. So putting that fish in a tank like this would look ridiculous, and it certainly wouldn't be fair to the fish. So I'm hoping this one doesn't grow to that extent, because this is only a 20-gallon tank. I would have to do something eventually. The idea that a fish will not outgrow its tank is a myth. There's some sort of truth to it. I'm not going to get into a big discussion about it now. But what it does is it stunts the fish. It's not some sort of natural growth regulator. It's very unhealthy. It's bad for fish to keep them in tanks that are way too small for them and keeping them cooped up and cramped, etc. So if it got to the point where this fish really did need to move to a larger tank, I would certainly do that. I do have options. So as far as the tank goes, what I did while I was in there was I did a lot of gravel vacuuming. There was a lot of really just filth and mulm and stuff on the bottom. This is one of those places this is my wife's room. I don't really come in here very often, and when I do, it's generally just to do maintenance here on the fish tank. And so when I got in here, the tank was so overgrown, there was very little water circulation, even though the filter was up and running. So the first thing I did was I got in there and I removed a bunch of the plants. I took a bunch of Java fern out of the middle. It was growing the entire middle. I really should have done it before and after, but it was kind of a spur of the moment water change. I didn't really even think about it. I just kind of got in here and did it. But that whole middle section that is now open and blue, this was just solid Java fern all the way to the top. And then the whole top was just cram-packed full of water sprite, to the point where it was pushing itself as the fronds grew upwards. It was pushing the whole mass downwards, closer and closer to the bottom of the tank. It was really, really overgrown, and there was very little water circulation at all. So I took a bunch of the water sprite out. That is now downstairs in my grow out tank. As usual, I've got plenty of water sprite and Java fern for sale. If you're interested, I'll put my email down below. I do have both the lace leaf, which is what this is. We should be able to see it if we open the lid a little bit here. You get an idea of how lacy it looks. And then, of course, I got the broadleaf as well. But I took a bunch of the lace leaf out of here. And then, of course, I removed that whole big mass. It was 3 or 4 long rhizomes of Java that I took out of there. And again, that's in my grow out tank downstairs too. But it really opened the tank up nicely. The fish have room to swim. You can actually see them. Unfortunately, the lights in this tank are sort of towards the back of the tank, so when the fish swim to the forward edge, as I'm sure you've noticed by now, they turn into silhouettes. Unless you've got some sort of external light source shining on the tank, you don't really see them unless they swim more towards the back of the tank. But nothing really elaborate. I'm also happy to say, if you do follow along, you'll remember that the last time I shot video of this tank, it was to introduce that little fancy guppy in there, that orange one that's chasing those little ones around. That was a gift I got from my wife. I know she likes the little guppies as much as I do. They're little jewels that swim around the tank, and they're so beautiful. So I got her that one, and it's doing really well. I'm happy to say that it is in there. I guess that would have been, was that Valentine's Day? I don't know how long it's been. So it's probably been a few months since I've shot any video of this tank. So I will put the playlist, I'll attach a card for the playlist at the end of the video, and you can go back and check out any of the older ones if you want. But it really made a huge difference opening it up and getting all those plants out of there. I got the glass wiped down, and then, of course, as I said, I got the gravel vac out, and I did a bunch of gravel vacuuming and just cleaned so much filth and scum and stuff out of there. You can see how it's still sort of growing on and stuck all over the Anubias in there, but I do have some new green shoots coming out, so happy about that. Now all we got to do is hope my, well, I can already see that it's not. I was going to say maybe this smaller neon swordtail there might grow up to be a male, but I forgot, A, it's a swordtail and there's no sword, and B, I can look at its fins and tell you it's a female. So I was hoping I might get another male going on in here and we could breed them, but we've always got my gourami tank in the basement. I do have a male and a female down there, and I don't know if any offspring would live, but if they ever do, I can maybe get them back in here and get them breeding again, because I really like those neon swordtails. So there you go. I guess this one female doesn't like that smaller female. Maybe I'll have to get in here and separate them out, or go to the PetSmart and buy a male to put in the tank with them or something like that. That's an option. So there you go, everybody. That is a brief update on my wife's tank after I did a nice big water change and plant removal. Don't forget, if you are interested in purchasing any aquatic plants, if I've got them available, I will certainly get them in the mail to you. So check out my email down below, and we can talk about that once you contact me. So thanks again for watching. Don't forget, this one here is my wife's tank. Thanks again. I'll see you real soon in the next one.